Zhilei Zhang versus Joseph Parker has been set for March 8th in Saudi Arabia for the undercard of Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou. Now, this is really good news, honestly, and a fight that I really did want to see. It's quite interesting because after Joseph Parker's victory against Deontay Wilder and that entire card of heavyweights, I was thinking of the next fight every guy in that card should have. And the exact fight I wanted to see next was Joseph Parker versus Zhilei Zhang. I didn't want to see either guy fight Ruiz or Wilder again, or Wilder for Zhang for the first time, or AJ or Hrgovic or AJ. Any of those guys, I didn't want to see any of those fights. I wanted to see Parker and Zhang fight each other, and I'm really glad that it seems like, or it's been confirmed to be happening for March 8th. Now, this is a really good fight, guys, and I got to give it to Joseph Parker, guys. This guy is really attempting to have a true rejuvenation of his career. He's already basically succeeded in doing that with his upset victory and upset of the year win against Deontay Wilder, and I'm really happy for the guy. I'm really happy that he's making these fights happen. I'm really happy that he's still getting these big opportunities. Now, am I picking him to beat Zhilei Zhang? No. Straight up, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I am picking Zhilei Zhang to defeat Joseph Parker when that fight happens. Probably a stoppage in the mid to later rounds. I'll give you guys a more detailed prediction and breakdown closer to the fight. But I am picking Zhilei Zhang to win that fight. But guys, love it or hate it, Saudi Arabia, they're really doing a lot of good things for the sport of boxing. They're making a lot of really good fights, and it really makes me happy, guys. We're getting the big fights. We're getting the fights that we want to see. AJ and Ngannou is actually a pretty fun fight. Ngannou arguably beat Tyson Fury, so if he can arguably beat Tyson Fury, I expect him to give AJ a pretty good fight as well. So that's a really fun fight, and I'm really glad that that one's happening. I think it's a good match for both of them. But this fight is, in my opinion, even more entertaining, and it's going to be more fun. This is a really great stylistic matchup. I expect it to be a battle. I expect both fighters to take some, to land some, and I expect it to be a really good back-and-forth fight. Zhilei Zhang is really building up a nice little resume for himself in the heavyweight division. I remember making a prospect video and making a heavyweight prospect video, and I put Zhilei Zhang, sorry, I put Zhilei Zhang on that video, but he was in his mid-30s at the time, and everyone was calling me crazy. They were saying, Zhilei Zhang is too old, he doesn't have enough time, he's not even that good in the first place. And for a little while, it looked like they were going to be correct. That Jerry Forrest performance, he looked terrible. He dropped him once in rounds 1, 2, and 3, but then Forrest came on late, or actually came on in the middle rounds, took over the fight, and ended up getting a draw. Many people felt Forrest actually deserved that victory. When you look at that fight, it looked like Zhilei Zhang was pretty much done and didn't have much of a shot of really building a name for himself in the heavyweight division. And they took on Filip Hrgovic. That was a fight that I felt would be pretty much a layup for Hrgovic. Most people agreed with me. And Zhilei Zhang, in most people's minds, deserved that win. Now, I'm not one of those people who actually thought Zhilei Zhang got robbed in that fight. I thought Hrgovic probably edged it. I know a lot of people hate on me for saying that because it's a strong consensus that Zhang was robbed, but if you look at the fight objectively, I felt Hrgovic outworked Zhang for the most part. Zhang did hurt him multiple times, but I felt Hrgovic probably deserved to win by a point or so. It was a really close fight, though. I wouldn't have had an issue if it went either way. But after the Hrgovic fight, a lot of people were actually calling Hrgovic a fraud. They weren't really giving Zhang necessarily his props, and they felt more had to do with Hrgovic than Zhang, and even I felt that to an extent, especially if Hrgovic's father passing and him not probably being the best state mentally. However, when he took on Joe Joyce, which people were looking forward to, people did expect to be a good fight, but people were picking Joyce to win, including myself. I was picking Joe Joyce to win as well. Zhilei Zhang dominated Joyce, completely dominated the entire fight, and got a 6-round corner stoppage victory. It was a very impressive victory for Zhang, but a lot of people felt maybe it was a fluke. Let's give Joe Joyce one more shot to redeem himself. Let's make the rematch. Let's see how it plays out. They had a rematch, and he knocked out Joyce in the fourth, or was it the third round, actually, very brutally, knockout of the year candidate, almost won knockout of the year, and has proven himself to be, honestly, at worst, top 4 heavyweight right now. At worst. He's above Ruiz easily for me, because all Ruiz has done is narrowly beat an out-of-prime Luis Ortiz as of late. Obviously, he has that first AJ win, but that was so long ago. That was what, 4.5 years ago? It's actually crazy how fast time goes, right? 4.5 years ago, he beat AJ the first time around, actually making me a little nostalgic thinking about how long ago that fight was. Since then, all he's done is beat Luis Ortiz. He had the AJ loss. He barely beat Chris Arreola. Zhang is above Andy Ruiz. He's above, honestly, you could say Parker might be above Zhang on the heavyweight rankings, but I have Zhang higher than Joseph Parker overall because I am picking him to win. I feel he's going to get the job done in this bout. But I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a great fight. Joseph Parker, former champion in the heavyweight division. He's making one last title run, and I applaud him for it. I really give him credit. And I'm going to say right away, without doubt, the winner of this fight deserves a big money fight. If it's against the winner of Usyk Fury, if it's against the winner of Joshua Ngannou, the winner of this fight has earned a big money fight. If it's Zhang, obviously, if the Joyce wins, the Hrgovic fight, and then the Joseph Parker win, he obviously deserves it. If it's Joseph Parker, he obviously deserves it with a Deontay Wilder win and a Zhilei Zhang win, as well as Joseph Parker just having a nice body of work in the heavyweight division throughout the years and really solidifying himself as one of the better heavyweights in recent years, honestly. I would say in this last generation, Parker's probably top 5 heavyweight in this recent generation. When you look at guys like AJ, Usyk, and Fury, Parker's right behind those guys. He's accomplished a lot in the sport, and I give him a lot of credit for that. And I really thought his time was done. I really thought he was washed. I thought Wilder put him away in the second round, and I was completely wrong. Parker outboxed him and boxed circles around him, and I feel that Parker has truly earned his way to a big money fight. Either, as I said, if it's Usyk, Fury, AJ, he deserves one of those 3 fights. And Zhang deserves one of those 3 fights. So I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be a really good matchup. It's going to be a really entertaining fight. It's probably going to steal the show. It's going to be more entertaining than the main event, in my opinion. And there's many ways it could play out. I wouldn't be too shocked if Joseph Parker ended up outboxing Zhang, and Zhang came on late, but it wasn't enough, and Parker ends up winning an 8-4, 7-5 decision. There's a possibility that that happens. There's also the chance that Zhang gets the later stoppage, like I'm predicting. There's a chance that it's an all-out war, back-and-forth battle, and ends up being a very close decision either way. Whatever happens, it's going to be a really good fight. I'm really looking forward to it. It's a fight that needed to be made, I felt. As I said, there were other fights that could have been made for Parker and Zhang in the heavyweight division, but I think them fighting each other makes the most sense. I truly respect both fighters. I truly respect what they've both done for the sport, and I'm really looking forward to the match, and I'm really looking forward to the card. Saudi Arabia is giving us some great fights. I understand the atmosphere isn't super entertaining. I don't think the crowds are really giving the fans that much. I don't think the fans in the crowd are necessarily giving the fans that are watching on TV much of an atmosphere. I felt the first time they had a big event, which was AJ Ruiz, the rematch, they did a great job. I thought the crowd was tremendous for that one. I don't know what's happened as of late. Maybe their crowds just aren't big enough, but they are giving us the fights we want to see, and I applaud that. I applaud them for that. Even if it's not the most entertaining scene, or even if we feel that Saudi Arabia may even be having a little too much of a hold on the sport of boxing, because at this point they are very powerful now. They're very rich. They can pay these fighters whatever they want, so they can make almost any fight they want. So far, they've done a great job, and they've given us some good fights, so I applaud them. I'm looking forward to this fight. I'm really intrigued in how it's going to play out. The winner of this fight is honestly such a commendable fighter. Both fighters are commendable for taking this fight, and when you look at both of them, neither of them have been taking any tune-ups as of late. I mean, I understand before Wilder, Parker fought a lot of lower-level fighters or a lot of fringe contenders, but that's when Parker was considered out of his prime and considered washed up. The second Parker got back on the scene and proved himself to be an elite fighter still, and proved himself to still be a commendable name in the sport of boxing. You know what Parker does? He continues to give us good fights. He gives us another good matchup, and Joseph Parker's always been about that. He's never ducked. He's never avoided anyone. When you look at Joseph Parker's career, this is a man that, when he was still a young up-and-comer virtually, I mean, he had a title, but he took on Carlos Takam when Carlos Takam was not necessarily a boogeyman in the heavyweight division, but he was a high-risk, low-reward opponent that no one really wanted to fight. Not because they were scared, but because they knew that he was a high-risk. Carlos Takam he took on a while back. He unified with AJ when we were in a time in boxing where we weren't getting that many unifications. He unified with AJ. Then right after that defeat, instead of taking a light touch, he takes on Dillian Whyte, which I know sounds kind of like an oxymoron. Light touch, and then he fights Dillian Whyte. Like, Dillian Whyte isn't a light touch, right? But no, if we're being honest, Zhilei Zhang is a very underrated fighter and deserves more credit, and that was a good name for Joseph Parker to take on. After that back-to-back defeat, he took some time away from fighting the top opposition. Then he fought Chisora twice when people were really intrigued in the Chisora fights. He took him on twice, gave us 2 good fights. Then he fought Joe Joyce when Joe Joyce was on a tear, and now he fought Wilder as of late, when Wilder was coming off that devastating Helenius win, and people thought that Wilder had one last run in him, and now he's taking on Zhilei Zhang, who's the boogeyman of the heavyweight division. So, shout out to Joseph Parker, and shout out to Zhilei Zhang. Same can be said for him. He's fighting everyone that we want him to see. I'm looking forward to this fight. Tell me your thoughts in the comment section below, and tell me your predictions. Have a good one, guys. God bless. I'll see you guys later. Peace.